Hey, if you want to avoid expensive repair bills, make sure you get regular maintenance. Where? For your air conditioner. That's right. The regular price for an AC tune-up ranges from 70 to 250 buckaroos. Guess how much you can get from Straight Shooter's 15-point tune-up? $17.76. That's what you should call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling. They made the deal just for you gun owners, radio listeners, and we sure appreciate it. Why? Because they have a heart for the people in our community. Just straight up, honest service you can trust. Call Straight Shooter Heating and Cooling today, 619-922-3937. For only $17.76, you'll get an AC tune-up. No bull, just cool. Or you can book online at straightshooter.ac. That's straightshooter.ac.
Yeah, if you own an air conditioner and you're listening to this and you haven't called them yet, please give them a call. It's the perfect time to do that.
Don't be proactive or reactive. Be proactive.
Right. They do heating and air conditioning, and we're changing seasons here. It's time to get your tune-up. And they're nice enough to say, hey, if you're listening to Gun Owners Radio, we want to talk to you for only $17.76. Right. So we have a really cool show here for you, and I was going to do some Q&A here like I usually do, or like I've started doing at the top of the hour. But there's something we got to talk about. There's some actual legitimate breaking news here that's pretty extreme.
Okay, where's the breaking news thing?
Well, we usually do that. It's funny. This is actually very serious. This is a very serious thing, and I wanted to talk about it. But being reported, shots fired near Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Gunman dropped his rifle, 2 backpacks, and fled in a car. Suspect apprehended by sheriff's deputies on I-95. No motive given. Biden and Harris briefed, they said they're relieved that Trump is safe. Republican president. This is being reported by Reuters, by the way. Reuters, excuse me. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump was safe after the FBI said. Appeared to be an assassination attempt. You can tell this story was written really, really recently. It hasn't even been edited. Appeared to be an assassination attempt on Sunday, today, just a couple hours ago, while he was golfing on his own course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Law enforcement officials said U.S. Secret Service agents spotted and fired on a gunman in some bushes near the property line with an AK-47 style assault rifle. The New York Times and Fox News Channel identified the suspect as Ryan Wesley Routh, 58. Now, that's an interesting point. I've been listening to the coverage of this, and the fact that this guy's 58 makes it a very different situation.
Why is that?
Because usually these extreme or these weird murderers who go shoot up a defenseless school or a movie, they're young, and the significance there is that that's usually when some of the mental health issues start kicking in.
Is she not hooked up?
I can't hear. But he's 58. He's not going through some kind of transition. You know what I mean? He's not. His parents aren't going, gee, this guy made it to 58, which makes me believe that this was a little bit more deliberate and possibly not exactly mental health related, although it's entirely possible. People with 58, go through mental health.
Go ahead and talk.
Could have been brewing for a while. It could be that it's
I hear her.
Something. Yeah, I think I'm good. Something that's been just laying low.
It very well could have been
reported.
Yeah. But a little bit different. That's just a data point.
Just an observation.
Different generation.
Yeah, this dude's 58.
Different generation.
Reuters was not able to verify the reports, although it's being reported this guy's 58 from Hawaii, which is kind of interesting. And let's see. After spotting the rifle barrel, so what was happening was he was playing golf, and some of the Secret Service agents went ahead of him about 150 yards. So they were clearing the area, which I guess is standard practice, is what they're saying. And one of them actually saw the barrel of a rifle sticking through a fence. And that's not a good sign.
Now, he didn't get a round off.
Did not get a round off. After spotting the rifle about 400 to 500 yards away from Trump as they cleared holes of potential threats ahead of his play, the agents engaged the gunman and fired at least 4 rounds of ammunition around 1:30 p.m. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw told the news conference that the gunman then dropped his rifle, 2 backpacks, and other items and fled in a black Nissan car. A witness, the sheriff said, saw the gunman and managed to take photos of the car and license plates, which is crazy. The Secret Service did exactly what they should have done, Bradshaw added. After the suspect fled the scene, law enforcement officials said that they sent out an alert to statewide agencies with information on the vehicle, which led to the sheriff's deputies in neighboring Marin County apprehending the suspect on I-95. So they caught the guy. Mm-hmm. He got away. He left some of his stuff. And I guess in the backpack were plates, like protective plates.
Okay.
Armor plates?
Yeah, ceramic plates.
Right.
And we have somebody in custody right now, said Bradshaw, who did not identify the suspect or give details on possible motive.
They also found a GoPro camera strapped to him as well, recording the entire incident as well. So
yeah, he had a GoPro. The other thing is, I've heard reports that these are unconfirmed early reports that his social media was political in nature. He had some posts on it that were political in nature, and I guess like one in particular was anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, and he seemed to be firing people up to go help Ukraine against Russia, like was actually trying to get people to
fly over there.
So I don't know if this guy has mental health issues. That's all going to come out. But I got to tell you, this is the second assassination attempt.
But do you really think all of this information is going to come out?
Well, I don't know.
Because, this kind of stuff they haven't been really good about releasing information.
They haven't. The only thing, the thing that makes me hopeful is the amount of criticism they took last time, and the fact that it's on Trump's property,
right?
And the fact that they're in Florida. There are a lot of things that are basically saying, "Hey, we things might actually get uncovered here."
Right, and you have a governor that will probably make sure things get uncovered.
I hope so, and I think even local law enforcement is probably more apt
or
to
Secret Service.
Well, who knows? I don't know. They did a good job this time, but I got to tell you, they were a freaking clown show last time.
Well, and that report has not come out yet. They keep saying it's coming out.
Yeah, but they have a new boss. The lady that was running the joint got kicked out at Secret Service. But I want to emphasize, though, one of the reasons I want to talk about this, not just to keep you informed, but I really wanted to make a point here in a couple minutes. This is completely and totally unacceptable. And that sounds cliche, but in 2 months, so no president's been shot in 40 years, and then Trump.
Right.
And, in 2 months, there has now been a real and serious threat on Trump's life. And at the time, the last time around, I said, hey, this political rhetoric that's coming from Democrats that is making it acceptable for this kind of behavior has to stop. We have to talk about this, and we have to hold them accountable. We have to stand up and say, whoa, that's enough. And I got to tell you, I walk the walk. You're not going to hear me talk about how ugly people are or whatever. I mean, and I regularly shut down discussions of conspiracy theories, and you're not going to hear me, tell people, talk about people that are evil or whatever. I talk about their policies. I talk about things that they say. I criticize them for their track record, and that is what we have to do. That is what politics has to be, because and hold the music for a sec, before we go any further, we have to accept that, hey, this wouldn't have happened if they weren't talking about Trump and comparing him to Hitler.
I totally agree with you.
I mean, how many times have you said, well, gee, if I'd go back in time, I'd kill Hitler? Like, that's just acceptable, and it's totally acceptable. But now what they're doing is they're saying, hey, by the way, this guy is literal Hitler again. He's in bed with the Russians. He's going to end democracy.
He's going to start World War III.
He's going to start World War III.
Right.
And that is creating an environment to where it is acceptable, well, gee, I'm going to go be a hero. I'm going to go take this guy out.
But they don't care. They
have to start to care. And everyone listening to this, you have to talk to whoever. We all know people are voting for Biden. And I think that it is time to say, hey, you know what? Don't call him a libtard or, hey, you're ruining the nation or whatever. You have to bring it down and say, hey, you know what?
Just vote.
No, what I'm saying is you got to tamp down the rhetoric. Like, let's talk about policy. Let's talk, okay, you disagree with the guy. You don't like the way he speaks. That's fine. But this whole thing where he's, a threat to democracy.
Well, they just hate him.
They hate him, then that's fine. But hate his policies.
Right.
And, this embellishment, this emotional, where it's just okay to think of this guy as evil. That's not okay.
Right.
And
you got pundits saying,
oh, big time. Not just you have elected officials, elected Democrats. Yes. You have media, people on, like big media, like CNN, MSNBC.
Much as I hate to say it, The View,
look Rachel Maddow, all these big.
Oh my Lord!
We have to get to a point where we go, hey, whoa, we're the adults in the room, and this whole thing about how evil and horrible and he's going to end democracy. What does it mean to end democracy?
Yeah,
so he's going to end your ability to vote for your leaders? Is that what you're trying to say? Because he was in office for 4 years,
and what happened?
And none of that happened. In fact, it is completely, accurate to say that most of his actions it was taking power away from federal government and giving it, to back to the states, back to people. His Supreme Court picks, his policies, his foreign policy, all fell in line with that.
Were you better off 3 years ago or 8 years ago?
Right.
Where were you? That's the bottom line. Where were you better off?
Right. Are you better off now or after 4 years ago? Yeah, I get you.
It's just that simple.
But the rhetoric has to stop, and we have to start calling out people. We have to start standing up and say, "Hey, you know what? That's enough." You see a reporter say something completely inappropriate like that, you have to write the email. You have to make the phone call. You see an elected official making some kind of claim, some kind of extremist claim. But by the way, against Trump or any elected official, you have to be the one that says, "Hey, you know what? I don't agree with that kind of rhetoric."
And I think the person that's in charge of that party should call those politicians out and say, enough, stop that.
It is right now, this situation is 100% in the lap of the Democrat Party. And my evidence, my proof is the fact that Trump has been almost assassinated twice in 2 months.
Right. Right, I'm right there.
And as the first person to have some kind of, Biden, there was no attempt.
No.
Obama, as much as they said, we're really afraid that he's going to. There's no, credible attempt.
Right.
Clinton, there was no credible attempt. And by the way, you didn't hear you didn't hear us talk about them in the way that Democrats talk about Trump right now.
Never.
It is completely inexcusable.
Totally.
It is wrong, and we all need to stand up and say, hey, you know what? I don't even want to talk about the issue right now. I just want to talk about the way you're talking about the issue.
Exactly.
Because it's not right, and it's leading to a horrible, horrible situation. Okay, let's go to a commercial.
Right.
But everybody, look it up, see the details. I think it's an important story. Talk about it with your friends and family. But I think the push from here on out, and not just for this week and not just for this month, but for here on out, we need to be the adults in the room, and we need to say, hey, you know what? That rhetoric is not okay.
Stop it.
Just talk about policy.
Right.
If is he lying? Okay, great. He's lying. Tell me how. Let's talk about what's going on.
Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, but hooking him to Russia, comparing him to Hitler, saying he's going to take away your democracy, it's unacceptable.
Totally.
Done.
Hey, just remember when the Founding Fathers drafted the Second Amendment, they were confirming the right for the public to own, carry, and defend themselves with the most advanced weapons currently in existence. They would have loved the AR. That post is from John Dillon on X. John Dillon specializes in California. Put his number on the phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Mike White, for your super chat. Thank you for listening, Mike White. I feel like you're a weekly listener. I see your name a lot, so thank you so much for the support. You're awesome, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
Who's the guy that got the hat and he lives in New York?
I don't know.
You didn't see that post that Rich sent out? Did you see it?
I'm going to miss it.
I did not.
He got a gun on his radio hat?
Yeah, and he went and he's wearing it in New York. He said, keep up the good work.
Oh, good. Good. Well, thank you for listening. If you're listening out in New York. Hey, so our next guest, somebody I really like. He wrote a book that's one of my favorites. I don't read a lot of books that aren't pop-up or color. and he wrote one that is
so true.
he wrote one that is neither of those. And I got to tell you, it's one of the books I highly recommend to every Second Amendment advocate. And his name's Stephen Holbrook. We've had him on before, and I wanted to have him come on. In fact, the commercial and what John Dillon put on X is very relevant to what we're going to be talking about. The John Dillon, the attorney, Second Amendment attorney. Just remember, when the Founding Fathers drafted the Second Amendment, they were confirming the right for the public to own, carry, and defend themselves. With the most advanced weapons currently in existence, they would have loved the AR. We wanted to talk a little bit more to Stephen about this. Stephen, how you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. How are good you guys? Good to be on your program again.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being on. Give a little talk about the book. Talk about some of the book you wrote. I think you just wrote another one too, but specifically the Founders' Second Amendment was my favorite. I thought you did it is the definitive history of the Second Amendment, in my opinion. I think you did such a wonderful job. But could you just talk about give us your bio a little bit? Give us your background.
Well, the latest book is America's Rifle: The Case for the AR-15. So I've written a number of Second Amendment books, and look at StephenHolbrook.com on my website. You can find more information on the books, but most relevant now, I think, is America's Rifle, that book, because we got a cert petition pending in the Supreme Court on so-called assault weapon bans. But I've been doing Second Amendment litigation since actually started practice in 1978. I've argued some Supreme Court cases on gun issues, managed to win them. Filed briefs in the Heller and Bruin cases, and so I've been around a while, and I just can't believe how good I think we've had it compared to when I started this enterprise back in the 70s. You know, you had the collective rights view. Nobody has a Second Amendment right to do anything. It's not individual. It's some kind of collective mishmash that nobody knows what. And so we've got solid Supreme Court cases now, and the problem is getting these lower courts to adhere to those cases, because you've got so much resistance from the lower courts and the usual suspect states, you know, your state, New York, the other states where the judges who seem to get appointed on these federal courts by and large reflect the political values in those states. So you won't see the Fifth Circuit resolving an assault weapon ban, because that's Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and they don't pass them down there.
And that one of the ways of the and I think, of course, the big one that kind of tipped when things started going our direction was definitely Heller. But the Bruin case, you know, there was Heller, there was McDonald 2 years later, but the Bruin case is such an enormously powerful tool, and that's the way I describe it to people. Bruin wasn't the end. It wasn't the solution. It was like this huge, powerful tool that they handed everybody and said, "Here, now you're able to do the things that you need to do to protect and restore the Second Amendment." So there's a lot of cleanup that needs to be done in the courts, and like you're saying, some of the lower courts are simply ignoring it and are going to have to be pulled across the finish line, kicking and screaming, which is fine by me. But I don't know. Am I accurate there? Wouldn't you say that the Bruin case was like, here's your tool, go fight the fight. You now have a very, very powerful tool it's gonna help you win, almost every time.
Yeah. So we start with Heller, and Heller says the kinds of arms that the Second Amendment protects are those that are in common use by law-abiding people for lawful purposes. That's why they did away with the D.C. handgun ban, and the court could not have been more clear. I mean, first of all, arms means all bearable arms, because Second Amendment refers to that you keep and bear arms. Mm-hmm. And so all bearable arms, that's rifles, pistols, and shotguns. Hello. And so then we get all this resistance from lower courts saying that, well, we don't know what common use means. And just because there's, I don't know how many, 20 or 30 million people with AR-15s, that they're not in common use because they have to be in common use for self-defense, and we proclaim that they're not good for self-defense. So then we get to, Bruin, whether bear means to carry, which obviously it does, and there Justice Thomas wrote for the court, if something's within the text of the Second Amendment are you keeping and bearing arms, then it's protected, whatever the activity is. And it's up to the government to show that its restriction is the kind of restriction that would have been allowed at the founding or shortly thereafter, because that's what the words mean. You know, the people who adopted the amendment, what was their intent? And if you don't like it, you can try to amend the Constitution. So we end up with ruin this, well, getting ahead of myself, the way they resisted Heller was to say that these guns are not protected. They're like military weapons. They're only useful for killing as many people as quickly as possible. They're not in common use by law-abiding people for lawful purposes. And so then we have Bruin repeating the same dictum from Heller, saying that if they're bearable arms, then they're protected. And now we have so then the court overturns a Maryland decision, the Maryland so-called assault weapon ban being upheld by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah, the Bianchi case, right?
It was called Bianchi, but Mr. Bianchi hightailed it out of Maryland, so that we have another name that goes. His last name is Snoop, S-N-O-P-E, versus Brown, and that petition was filed last month, and there's been no response yet. But the Maryland, the Fourth Circuit decision, it was en banc, the full court. You had about 10 judges voting with the majority, which was written by Judge Harvey Wilkinson, saying ridiculous things like if you shoot somebody with an AR-15, it obliterates the person.
Right.
That there's nothing left. That bones and organs just shatter into nothingness.
Hey, Stephen, we're going to take a quick break, and we're gonna come back and keep talking about this.
Are you frustrated with all the confusing and restrictive gun laws? Well, how come gun control politicians don't understand that more gun control laws only disarm the law-abiding, not the criminals? Believe it or not, your vote makes a difference. In city and county elections, your vote has the most impact. That's why we need your help to get more Pro-2A officials elected. Get the San Diego County Gun Owners Voter Guide and get endorsed officials elected in the city and county elections. They're coming up. Download the SDCGO.org/voter guide right now. Get it today. Study it. You got questions, just go to SDCGO.org. Ask the questions you have, and they will clear it up for you immediately.
Okay, we're talking to attorney and Second Amendment author Stephen Holbrook, and specifically we're talking about the Bianchi case, or Snoop case, as it's got changed to, which has to do with assault weapons in Maryland, which, of course, is the Fourth Circuit. And we were just talking about, so one of the things that we were talking about, some of the ridiculous claims they made, and my reading of, they just got, the ban was upheld, and my reading of their decision was they said, hey, look, the types of guns, AR, pattern, etc., that you're talking about were intended for military use, therefore they're not protected by the Second Amendment, which is a completely ludicrous claim. I mean, the entire point of what they were trying to do was to make sure that people had the types of arms that they needed in order to serve in a militia in war. What are your thoughts on that? Am I wrong? What are your thoughts on her decision?
Well, the Second Amendment begins the well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. And they used to obliterate that and say, well, that really means the National Guard and it means government control. But militia arms were always held to be the most protected. And if you go to the founding and all the militia acts in those days, you had to have, every man had to have a gun and be able to be enrolled in the militia. And that system went by the wayside, and we have a volunteer army. We have pretty much volunteer National Guard also, but we have the reserve militia, of which all able-bodied people are members of. And but what do we have? These judges say things like, and this was in the oral argument in the Bianchi case, the AR-15 is the M16. And how ridiculous can you get? It used to be, ever since the 1934 National Firearms Act, basic distinction was between full auto and semi-auto, and nobody ever questioned the idea that regular members of the public, without restriction, could possess semi-auto rifles. And we also had,
and we all agreed on that, by the way. But, when the other side says that we refuse to compromise, that was a compromise. The gun community said, okay, we'll compromise there. You guys want to, in effect, pretty much ban full auto. In general, the gun-owning public kind of said, okay, great. That's our compromise. That's one of the many compromises that the gun owner side has said. And there hasn't been an argument. Now they're trying to take that away.
Well, if you read this opinion by the Fourth Circuit, they're insinuating that maybe rifles of all kinds should be banned because they talk about rifle cartridges. Right. And they act like the 5.56, which was nothing but a varmint round in its beginnings. The way it obliterates everything it hits. It's not even legal for deer hunting in a lot of states. And what about the 308 and the 30-06 and all the classic calibers? They do a lot more damage, but the court acts like, based on this horrible woundings that are created by the .223 round, that you can ban them for that reason. And then they go to this distinction. Well, you should be using a handgun, a 9mm handgun for self-defense. There's no point in using a rifle. They're not suitable. And of course, the court says what's suitable. But if you look at Heller said what the American people choose is what counts for what arms are protected, and they do choose handguns in part.
We get to decide what's suitable, not some bureaucrat who clearly doesn't know anything about firearms anyway.
Exactly, and these judges, you wonder, where do they get these ideas that there's no distinction between semi and full auto, and that these wounding capabilities of the puny .223 round, and there's several judges also dissented in the Yankee case. Judge Richardson wrote the main dissent, and it's basic common sense. The arms that are protected are those that are in common use. And if you go back before 1989, handguns were bad, rifles were good. And California started it all with the Roberti Ruse Act. Mm-hmm. Here's all these rifles that are evil, wicked, mean, and nasty. We're going to make a list of them, and then we're going to define them generically. And if they've got that horrible protruding pistol grip, whoa, look out. And so, you have to have that, I call it the hitchhiker design. You have to have your thumb sticking up. You can't grip the gun. And then you have the most arbitrary distinctions. What's an assault weapon? So you've got conspicuously protruding pistol grip. You go to Cook County, they say, only if it doesn't have the shoulder stock, then it's banned. Yeah. But if it has a shoulder stock, it's not. And if you go to Maryland, they don't even have that characteristic at all. They mostly have the list of evil guns, and then they have a very brief generic ban, which is things like a grenade launcher and retractable stock, things like that. And They don't even have the protruding pistol grip. So these people are all over the place. Anti-gun groups write these laws. The people who pass them know exactly nothing about what they're banning. It's funny, it came up in the oral argument. Judge Wilkinson, who led the anti-gun judges, said, the legislature of Maryland must have had a reason why they put each and every one of these guns down on their list of which guns are banned.
They must be. Why would they put it there if they weren't reasonable?
Right, and the funny thing was, all they did was to copy lists that previous lobbyists gave them, and some of those guns were obsolete by then.
Which is such it's such a circular argument, Well, it's reasonable because we put it there. Well, why'd you put it there? Well, we put it there because it's reasonable. Well, why is it reasonable? Well, because we put it there. Hey, I want to ask you a question. Going back to what you were talking about with ammo, where they talk about 5.56 is horribly lethal, and this isn't as lethal or whatever. And they talk about these degrees of lethality. That's like kind of talking. Is someone kind of pregnant, it's either lethal or it isn't lethal. And what I'm curious to hear is your opinion. I think that whole that whole subject of like, well, how much damage a 5.56 does, or how much damage your grandfather's 30-06 did, or it blows the lungs out, or whatever. It's a total red herring. Lethal is lethal. The entire point of lethal force, is lethal, lethality, And by the way, I've never heard an argument by the founding fathers where they were saying, hey, our muskets, they're not that lethal, so that's okay. I mean, everything they used, the intention was, lethality. So I guess my question is, first off, am I off base on this? And second, do you think that whole discussion is just kind of a red herring, and that maybe our side's getting kind of sucked into this weird, senseless argument that we should squash and never revisit?
Well, of course, our side exposes those fallacies. The founders liked lethal. I mean, they liked distance. They liked to be able to pick off those British officers and shoot them in the head with their rifles instead of just the common muskets with smooth bore. But that aside, you go down the list and they make these claims. If you want to read real literature, Dr. Martin Fackler was the expert. He's deceased now, but he was a wound ballistics expert in the U.S. Armed Forces, and he goes into all of these comparisons, comparing the 223 and then the 7.62 by 39, all of those cartridges, and they're all less lethal than alternative cartridges. And in fact, the armed forces has gone from the 5.56 NATO to the XM7, which has a lot more muzzle energy. Mm-hmm. The 5.56 is a puny cartridge, and the whole idea of lethality and the idea of what are these rifles designed for? A firearm is designed to expel a projectile by action of an explosive. And what a person wants to use it for is different. And we're well aware that almost all Americans who own guns use them for self-defense, for sporting purposes, for hunting and things like that. And to say that these are weapons of war and they have only one purpose, to kill all these people in combat, it's just such a fantasy that they're living in. It's just such rhetoric that seeks to obliterate what the plain text of the Second Amendment says. Why would we want to keep and bear arms? It's to protect a free society. Those words are in the Second Amendment. And the fact that these are militia arms, or can be, they are the kind that ordinary people would bring for militia duty at the founding, and they were also used for civilian purposes. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better than an AR-15, because at least it teaches you how the gun operates. The charging handle is different than the classic way that you would insert a cartridge into more of a traditional rifle. But it doesn't have the selective fire or the full auto feature. And so what we end up with is the kinds of guns that would be useful for militia purposes or would be useful for self-defense. These rifles were used for self-defense. If you look at public disturbances, or like the 2020 George Floyd riots, and you look what happened with some of the uses of the AR-15 at that time.
Yeah, enormously effective. Enormously effective at self-defense.
If somebody tries to grab the barrel of your gun, you know what Rittenhouse did? The guy threatened to kill him, so he pulled the trigger. And the rifle, you can hold on to it better than a handgun because of the pistol grip, and you're holding it with two hands. So they're well suitable for self-defense in civil disturbances or in rural areas where you have a lot of distance that might be needed to be covered for defending yourself or defending other people.
Right. Hey, Stephen, real quick. So we have like 2 minutes. So I want to switch over to the actual legality. People who are wondering, all right, well, where are we? Is this going to the Supreme Court? We have the Miller case out here in California that's kind of on hold. We have the Bianchi Snoops case out in Maryland where they're asking the Supreme Court to take a look at it. Can you just kind of spend about 48 seconds here and just tell us, like, well, where are we at as far as these lawsuits, and what do you think the next step is?
Well, the case that's most groomed for Supreme Court review is Bianchi. because there we have a final judgment. All of the evidence is in. There's no more rulings to be made. There's no point in remanding the case for any purpose. And so the time will tell whether the Supreme Court wants to go there. They've been doing a lot of gun cases, and we don't know how many they're willing to do at one time. There's cases percolating elsewhere in the Seventh Circuit in Illinois.
Awesome. Stephen, thank you so much. Everybody, check out his book, America's Rifle, and check out everything he's written, because I'm a big fan. You do such a great job. It's an honor that you give us the time and come on our show and talk about this stuff. So thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate you very much.
Appreciate it, man.
Great to be on the show.
Thank you again, Condor Outdoor, for supporting the gun show on September 7th and 8th. Stay tuned for next week's show when we announce the winners of the new Nomad backpack. Didn't we already announce it yet?
I don't remember.
Nomad is a versatile and durable backpack for outdoor enthusiasts and urban explorers alike. So if you're looking for the best in tactical gear, look no further than Condor Outdoor. There you go. Use code GOR for 15% discount off the website, condoroutdoor.com. Use DOR for a 15% discount.
There you go. We're going to announce the winner in just a minute. I'd rather get to Cody. Cody is an attorney from Firearms Policy Coalition, and he is taking time to come on the show and talk about something very, very important to us. So, Cody, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hey, man. Thanks so much for coming on. And everybody knows about Firearms Policy Coalition. They do excellent work. We partner with Firearms Policy Coalition on everything that we do legislatively. They've been such a wonderful partner to San Diego County gun owners. I cannot thank you guys enough. You've done a wonderful, wonderful job. And specifically what I wanted you guys to come talk about, Cody, is the Carolero case. It's a little more complicated than most decisions, so I really, really wanted to clarify. And I think maybe if you could just start with just giving us a brief, like what just happened with the Carolero case, which, by the way, is the case against SB2. We're trying to get rid of the CCW ban that SB2 brought.
Of course, yeah. So one small note. So I'm actually president at FPC Action Foundation. I am an attorney, a litigator, but I also work. No. Of course, and so I work really closely with FPC, help manage the litigation agenda and our caseload, including the Carolero case that I've worked a bunch on. So basically, what just happened was, when we initially filed a lawsuit against SB2 and all of these so-called sensitive place restrictions that California enacted in response to Bruin, we initially got a preliminary injunction, which just basically means that the court paused California's ability to enforce its law. Preliminary injunctions are just designed to preserve the status quo. And so essentially it's the court going, hey, I'm going to put a pause on this until we can get to the full, merits of the case, until we can decide the bulk of it completely. So we were successful. The case went up. And it went to the Ninth Circuit. Of course, your listeners are intimately familiar with the Ninth Circuit and what sometimes we can expect from there. But this was a little different. So the Ninth Circuit actually held some parts of the injunction and essentially overruled, if you will, some parts of the injunction, or basically decided that they shouldn't be in place. So it was a little convoluted in that basically the Ninth Circuit went through each specific location restriction that was challenged, analyzed each one, and then decided whether or not the injunction stood or didn't stand based on each individual location and each individual part of the rule. So that's what just happened, and basically now it's planning for next steps.
Okay, so before we get to the next steps, because I do definitely want to talk about that. Basically, SB2 listed, it was about 20 points, 24 points, something like that. A lot of what they listed were areas that were already, carry was already banned there, maybe by federal law or existing state law. But then they expanded the carry ban to a number of other places, which basically amounted to every place outside of your home. I mean, it was really impossible to carry if if that list had stood. You got an injunction against the places that were affected by SB2. There were other places like courthouses and whatever. That was already in place. So the injunction was the expansion of the ban. Now let's start off with, and then the court decision that just came out. Basically, about half of the ones they said, yeah, we're going to keep the injunction in place, and the other half they said, no, we're not going to keep the injunction in place. So one of the ones I want to start out with was there was kind of this catch-all, which I think people are referring to as the vampire rule, where if you're a business, you have to put out a sign that says you're okay to carry here. Otherwise, by law, it's not legal to carry there. Now, is that enjoined, or is that not enjoined?
The Ninth Circuit upheld the injunction as to not allowing California to enforce that part of its rule. So we call it the vampire rule as somewhat of a joke because it's right. You have to be given permission to enter. But yes, the idea is basically what California did was it reversed, what has been long-standing practice in everywhere in the country, which is, you can carry, if you're otherwise legally able to carry your firearm, you can carry it into private businesses that are open to the public, so long as that business does not specifically prohibit you, right? So before it was, if there was a sign that said no carry, then you couldn't carry in those places. California is one of the many states that, in response to Bruin, flipped that. And so basically what it would have required was some specific permission from the property owner to, quote unquote, allow you to carry your arm on that, again, private property, but private property that's specifically been opened to the public for whether it's a business or something to that end. So the Ninth Circuit upheld the injunction for the California portion of that. This case is consolidated with one for Hawaii, and the Ninth Circuit wasn't as kind to the Hawaii one. Basically, what the court reasoned was that California's law was very restrictive in the manner in which a private business owner could permit firearms. And the court basically determined that based on a review of history, a flawed review of history, which I can, get into if you want to. I can, talk about the two historical statutes they looked at. But basically, the court said there were several ways that a private business owner could allow people to carry because California didn't provide for other ways to allow private business owners to allow people to carry. That California's law was too restrictive and didn't follow history. So that's a long way of saying that California's vampire rule was enjoined by the Ninth Circuit.
So California basically said you have to have this government-approved sign up, and the court said, nope, that's too restrictive, so that is not being enforced. Hawaii said, hey, there's actually a couple different ways that a business can tell their customers that they're able to carry there, and so they upheld that. They said they upheld that. They said that's fine, you can do that, which is not great news. I mean, it's going to be fairly easy for the state of California to just say, all right, great, then we'll pass what Hawaii passed, and it'll if it passes muster, then great. Am I wrong there?
No, you're not, and it is somewhat Pyrrhic in that sense. And that's where the problem with the historical analysis comes in. So the Ninth Circuit basically, interestingly, after Bruin, all of these courts are doing what we in the legal space call originalism, right? It's looking to the text as what it meant when it was drafted and ratified. So for the Second Amendment, that should be 1791. The Ninth Circuit looked to the historical statutes to determine whether or not there was a, analogous one to either California or Hawaii's law. The problem is the laws that the Ninth Circuit relied on are not at all applicable. So they relied on a 1791 New Jersey statute that dealt with landowners being able to prohibit people from possessing arms on their property, but that statute was specifically aimed at hunting season and was aimed as it was a hunting ordinance that basically was prohibiting people from being able to hunt armed on private land if the private landowner didn't want the arms on their land. So that's nowhere near similar to general businesses that are open to the public.
Yeah, so it's not over, but that's the case they made, and it's a ridiculous one. It'll get beat, but that is the case. Before we get to the other one, what I really wanted to do is get really nuts and bolts with our listeners so that this is a resource for them. So I wanted to talk about, we have a list here of places that we believe carry has now been banned. Can we just read off those and you just confirm that, this is the new list? Is that okay, Cody?
So I actually don't have the list in front of me. I also think that it would be beneficial for people to go and look directly at the court opinion and order. Some of the reasoning is convoluted, but I can't give people legal advice. I could tell you kind of like my interpretation of the opinion, and I can tell you, I can, have some of the areas where California kind of affirmed the injunction, and so I can, talk about those.
Tell us what you can tell us. Yeah.
So California basically affirmed our injunction as it applied to, hospitals and similar medical facilities, as to public transit, as to gatherings that require a permit. Those are ones like public gatherings where you have to get a state permit to hold the gathering. Places of worship, financial institutions, and then parking areas and similar areas connected to those places, as well as that private property rule that we discussed. So,
that's where the court agreed. The court said that's unenforceable.
Correct. That is where the court maintained its injunction and said, California, for the life of this case, you can't enforce the injunction you can't enforce your prohibition in those places.
Okay, so where should they go to read the decision, Cody?
So if you go to firearmspolicy.org, there's a tab at the top that says Our Work. You can click on that, and then you can scroll down. That's all of FPC's active cases. The Carolero case is there. You can go to that case page, and the opinion is on the case page.
Great.
You can also look at FCC's social media at Gun Policy. We posted about it. They posted about it quite a bit.
Perfect. While you're there, make a donation. These guys are doing the Lord's work. So thank you, Cody.
A self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training, education to navigate a self-defense situation, and should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. Get signed up with our friends, Adam Bendis. Give them a call today, 619-318-6803. Signing up is real easy. Get the education and protection you need. Enjoy the peace of mind. If you are ever in a self-defense incident, call Adam, 619-318-6803. You'll be ready to go.
All right, subscribe and win to our email list. If you go to gunownersradio.com, you subscribe to our email list, you might win some cool stuff. This week's winner is Martin Rodriguez. Congratulations, Martin. Email prizes@gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or your hat. Also, big thank you to Russ for donating a prize. Let's see, the QR Quest prize announcement. Off-roster Palmetto State Armory Dagger compact 9mm pistol with SW3 RMR slide and non-threaded barrel, two-tone grain with a built-in Viridian red ambidextrous laser and range bag. Thank you so much for donating that. What an awesome prize. And this is for our QR Quest prize winner. The QR Quest happened at the Gun Show a couple weeks ago in Escondido. And the winner is Misty Taylor.
And by the way, that was two-tone gray.
Oh, what did I say?
Grain.
That's all right.
Oh.
I was going to let it slide.
Thank you.
Not me.
Thank you, Alicia.
Because he always busts me when I say, what's that word I say?
Persnickety over there. Frustrated.
Frustrated.
Yeah, I was a little. When you were over there and you heard me say gray rather than grain, were you frustrated?
I was more bothered by the ambidextrous word.
I can't say that.
No,
word.
I was right there. You can't say it either.
I say it two different ways.
How do you left and right.
How about that? Okay. By the way, warm-up prize announcement. This is cool. We totally skipped over this, and I wanted to let everybody know there is a warm-up prize winner announcement. A Gun Owners Radio cap, and the winner of that is Lily Morgan. Congratulations, Lily. By the way, we got a really cool picture over the weekend from Lance Richardson. He writes, he said he got the hat today. He's wearing his is in red. He's got a red Gun Owners Radio hat. And he said, I got the hat today. Looks great. I bet I'm the only person in Albany, New York with this hat. Thanks. Keep doing what you do. The show is great. Thank you, Lance. Awesome job. Let us know if you get any comments, questions, or concerns about your hat in Albany. Albany, by the way, is not Manhattan, so I'm going to bet that in Albany he's going to get some attaboys rather than some pearl clutches. Yeah. Oh my goodness! So, okay. By the way, Condor, you guys are so great. Thank you so much for your donations. Condor Outdoor is such a great company and organization. They do a lot to support Gun Owners Radio, and we can't thank you guys enough. They also had a QR Quest prize back in Escondido at the gun show. There was the QR Quest. Was basically you had to go from area to area, and you had to scan the QR code, which I didn't know what a QR code was, but pre-COVID. COVID taught me what a QR code is, and it taught me how to use Zoom. So for the Condor Outdoor Nomad Backpack, the winner is Adam Watersky. How do you say that? Watersky? Watersky. There you go there, hey. Adam Watersky. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your Condor Outdoor Nomad Backpack, which is like a really nice backpack.
Pretty rad backpack.
It is, right? Mm-hmm. I don't remember the value, but it's
like it's well over $100.
Yeah, it was a really nice one. So congratulations on that. Yeah, you guys, everybody that won something, email us, prizes@gunownersradio.com, just to be sure that we send it to the right place. And if you want a hat or you want a shirt, definitely let us know what the prizes are. So, yeah.
Well, knowing that today is Sunday, that brings up something exciting for tomorrow night.
What?
A Lead Talk.
Oh. Actually, unfortunately, Lead Talk's been canceled tomorrow.
Oh, no!
Which is why we didn't talk about it.
I didn't get the
My bad. I should have said it. I didn't. I put it in my TPS report. Apparently, you didn't read.
I didn't.
You didn't read the TPS report. No. So anyway, Lead Talks is kind of interesting, though, and we're going to continue, but unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we're not going to be able to do it tomorrow night. It's actually very cool. Last week, did you watch last week?
I saw the replay. I didn't see it live.
To Dakota Adelphia, I thought she did a fantastic job. It was the point, and really, hers did a really good job of doing what we're trying to accomplish in these Lead Talks. Mm-hmm. The Lead Talks are meant to be, a reference. They're meant to be, a something important, a concept, or something that you can learn from and actually use. And she spent an hour going over how to pick and how to improve your concealed carry holster. Right.
A holster is really important. It's more than just something to hold your gun.
Yeah. And I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
She there was some stuff that she went over, and I was like, man, that was fantastic. I had no idea. That there's so much that you can do. To me, it's like, well, you just you buy 20 holsters and one of them might work.
The drop. There's so much to it. Not only do you have to worry about the safety features, is it going to fully cover your trigger guard? Do all the things that it needs to do. But then also, is it comfortable? Does it conceal well on you? Does it fit you and your body? Because all our bodies are different. So it's just a matter of what fits you and your needs, and can you carry it and how and where.
I remember I used to use the Urban Carry.
Mm-hmm. The one with the little the pull up
goes down your pants and you pull it up and it kind of flops over your belt. That? I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But who hated the fact that I had it was John Correa.
Oh.
I show he doesn't like it. He's got there's a whole history with him in the Urban Carry, and I told him I had it, and he was very unhappy with me. I got a stern talking to from John Correa, and I'll tell you, when John Correa gives you a stern talking to, you listen.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
No, just tell him next you're going to carry like an Uncle Mike's instead. I'm sure I love that.
What didn't he like about it?
He's got a whole.
Where to start?
He had a whole video of how there were many things he really disliked about it, and then they even came out with an improved version, and I encouraged him to check it out, and it just didn't improve in the ways they needed it to improve. One of the things I talked to him about was, he said, how do you pull from concealment with the Urban Carry when you're sitting down? And
you really can't.
I kind of figured it out. One of the reasons I liked the Urban Carry is because I'm driving around from appointment to appointment. I'm in the car a lot.
Yeah.
And so, when it's on your waist and you're driving, man, especially my waist, I don't have a whole lot of room, Dave. I don't know if you noticed.
You drove a bus.
But it kind of, jams into you. Well, the Urban Carry didn't do that. What I switched.
Where did it ride on you?
It rides on your thigh.
On your thigh.
Yeah.
Like right on your thigh. It goes down your pants, down your thigh, and you pull the whole thing up.
Yeah.
It's like this your gun's kind of sandwiched in between some leather. And
yeah, because I wouldn't like it up here either.
It doesn't go on your hip. It goes actually on the front panel. So
yeah.
I definitely wouldn't like it.
Yeah. But the thigh. Yeah, but he means he wouldn't like one that's on your waist, poking in your back. Yeah. But the what I switched to was the undershirt that Glock store was selling, and I've seen it some other places. But it's basically a compression shirt, like an Under Armour shirt, and then they put holsters in it.
Right.
And I actually ran it by Uncle Korea, and he said, "Yeah, it's a lot better." He was. Okay. It's not perfect,
What's his idea of perfect?
Oh, you gotta go to his, you gotta go to the ASP. You gotta go check out his whole deal.
His video.
Yeah, the cool thing is he doesn't just pick a product.
There's a reason.
And say, hey, this is the one to get.
Him the expert.
He's the expert.
Okay.
But what he does do, what I really respect is he says, look, here's the criteria.
Right.
So go to any manufacturer you want and make sure it does A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And he doesn't take any money. He actually said, I've been offered 5 and 6 figures from people to sell holsters, and he said I've turned that down because I'd rather be a trusted advisor. So active self-protection from John Correa.
Great
Thank
resource.
you.
Yep.
Not Me is for women, by women, and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free.
What?
Yeah, it really
free?
is. I know. Don't you wish you were a girl?
It's one of my favorite F words, free.
I know. And if you are a woman...
The other one's food.
Well, you're going to like this political side of
what?
the country.
All right, go ahead.
If you're a woman, or you know a woman who is in need, have her sign up and we'll get her totally taken care of. Just to sign up, go to notmesd.org.
All right, cool. Good read.
I know.
We did a good read.
Every time I read that, it makes me choke up.
Get choked up. Well, it's an emotional subject,
my
friend.
Is.
It makes us all a little.
Nobody wants a woman in fear.
Yeah. I'm going to be speaking of Not Me, just by way of an update. I ran a class just a couple of weeks ago, and what was great is that the discussion was so good. Their questions were great. They wanted so much information. We actually ended up not being able to finish everything that we intended to do, and so the women are going to be coming back. We already had it. What's that?
A freebie.
Well, we had already intended to do a part 2. However, we're going to have to do kind of like a part 1.5 plus the part 2 because
you had so many people.
We had a lot of women. It was great. It was great. So we were going to have to kind of like wrap up the tail end of what we didn't get to, which was actually going to be more handling and hands-on versus just discussion. And then we're rolling into part 2, but we're going to be doing that in about 2 weeks or so for all the Not Me women. So all the free opportunities that you're talking about. It extends beyond just the traditional help and assistance and hand-holding and mentoring with firearms. It extends into other training opportunities, too, beyond that.
Awesome. Speaking of hand-holding, our next guest is someone's...
Hold my hand?
He has a hand I love to hold, so... I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes it's tough to get a transition,
It really is.
That's the best I can do.
I think you did fine.
Somebody I absolutely adore. Charlie Cook. You know him from...
riding in the car.
There you go. Riding shotgun with Charlie, and a frequent visitor to the West Coast here from the East Coast, and he's going to be out here in a couple of weeks at a very cool event. So I wanted him to come on the air and tell us what he's coming out for and tell us exactly what the deal is, because this is a cool, big deal. So Charlie, how you doing, man?
I am doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I got to say, sometimes a hard break is good. You know what I mean?
Don't fight it. Don't fight it, Charlie.
Right. Just relax. It'll be okay.
So tell everybody what you're coming out for. Should we get it? Should we do a big drum roll? Do a drum roll. There you go. What brings you to the West Coast?
I am going to be excited to be coming out to San Diego next weekend because I am going to be the MC on Sunday for the Gun Rights Policy Conference.
That's awesome. I'm coming out. That's awesome, Charlie. I really appreciate it. So tell everybody what's going on. So in a couple of weeks, gun owners, especially in San Diego, but all over Southern California, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, even as far as L.A., there's a whole weekend of cool events for those who are engaged and interested in the Second Amendment world. So talk about what you've been to them before, right?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely love going to Gun Rights Policy Conference because it really is, everyone says going to these events is like going to a family reunion, but my attitude is the second time you go, it's like going to a family reunion because the first time you connect with so many people and become friends with them and follow them on the socials and watch their shows and tune into their YouTubes and whatever. And it's absolutely fabulous.
Not only that, but I think it's better than a family reunion because the people you're with, you like. You don't
get to pick family.
This is true, and I can say this because my sisters don't listen to anything that I do, so I'm totally with you.
Yeah, a point made, Charlie. Point made.
Exactly.
So they basically, and what it is it's a bunch of speakers, it's a bunch of activities and that sort of thing. And I think is it free?
It's free.
Yeah, it's free, right?
It is free. It is completely free. There's no charge for it. And it's hosted by the Second Amendment Foundation. And honestly, to join the Second Amendment Foundation, it's a whopping $15 a year, I believe, which is an unbelievable bargain. But it's free. You need to come. Oh my gosh, I have. It's at. Oh, where is it at? It's at the. It's at the San Diego Marriott Mission Hotel.
Mission Valley. Yep, in Mission Valley, which is so central.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason people shouldn't come to this. And a ton of folks are going to be there. There's Masada Ayub, of course, is going to be there. Sarah Joy Albright from Hold My Guns is going to be there. Rebecca Schmoy, she's a representative from Kansas. She's coming out. Mark Smith is going to be there. Cheryl Todd, Amanda Sefcool, Jared Yanis is going to be there from Guns and Gadgets. Tom Gresham's going to be there. Ohio Congressman Darrell Issa is going to be there.
California. He's from California. Darrell Issa is right here in San Diego.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it said he was. I thought it said he was from Ohio. I apologize. Well, speaking of San Diego, John Dillon's going to be there as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing him speak. He's one of your people. Yeah. Michael Schwartz is probably the biggest name person that is on the docket for the weekend.
He's a legend in his own mind.
He really is. If there's anybody that has a gig in the Second Amendment, it's Michael Schwartz, because Michael Schwartz gets to be Michael Schwartz all of the time.
That's exactly what I do. That's my job description.
I love it, man. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be fun. I got to tell you, I'm extremely honored. This is the 52nd time they've done this or something like that. How many times have they done this?
So Second Amendment Foundation's been around for 50 years, and I think this is the 36th or 37th.
Okay.
36th or 37th GRPC.
So they've had this event for at least 35 years, 36 years. They're doing it, I believe, I'm not sure if it's the first time in California, but it's definitely the first time in San Diego. And I'm extremely honored that they're having it right here in our hometown. So, big thank you to the Second Amendment Foundation for having this thing. But they have it once a year, all over the country, different places, and it's just very, very cool. And I'm so happy that they put it right here. And I don't know, I'm taking it as a compliment. Maybe they just did it because they love the weather, but I'm taking it as a compliment, and I'm very happy that it's right here in our hometown.
Well, I don't have a decision, but I think the weather's just a bonus. I know some people that have said they're not going to be going because even from occupied territory, Massachusetts, where I live, I can't bring any of my blasters with me.
Yep.
There are some people that said they don't want to go to California because they can't bring a gun, and I'm like, okay, I get you, but
you got to listen.
It's still a good thing to go to.
Yeah, you got to have a backbone. So I get it. If you don't, if you're, if you're a little yellow and a little, incompetent and a little scared, then you know what, stay in your safe space. But the real true warriors, we're out here behind enemy lines. John has a long mustache. The chair is against the door. Come on out to San Diego, and do the real work. This is where the fight is. So I get it. If you're a little scared and a little namby-pamby, great. Stay in your little comfort zone. But the real Second Amendment advocates are coming out to San Diego, and they're making their voices heard, and they're standing and being counted.
Absolutely. We can still bring knives and pepper spray, right?
Absolutely.
That's right.
All right, so we're good to go. We'll be fine.
Well, I got to tell you, I guarantee you there's going to be enough safety.
I was going to say, what safer place to be, though?
Yeah, you're going to be in that room. I guarantee you, you're going to be safe. So,
I got to tell you, one year we were in Texas for this, and I don't know what happened, but the power went out, and 3/4 of the audience pulled out their flashlights.
There you go.
It was great. Nobody missed a beat. Light goes out. Okay, reach in your pocket, pull out your flashlight. We're still good to go. Everything's fine.
Like 100 people pulled out their 4,000 lumen pocket flashlight, and it was probably
like their O-light.
Yeah, it was brighter in there with the lights off than it was when the lights came back on.
Yeah, we didn't know when the lights came on. Exactly.
Well, and the lineup's huge, man. Masada Yub and Amanda and all those folks that are coming out. I mean, this is a very unique opportunity for Californians. You guys have had it close to us. You've had it in Arizona. But still, this is a very unique opportunity, and there's a lot of stuff you get for free. So
oh my gosh, so if you're local, it's easy. If you fly in, you need to bring an extra suitcase because Second Amendment Foundation sets you up with about 20 pounds worth of books that you can bring home, and it's all for free. You get in, there's a stack of books about 1.5 feet high, and you get to take all that home with you. It's the most incredible. It's an unbelievable library that you get to take home. So that's going to be really cool. If I want to put a plug in for this too, the day before GRPC on Friday is this thing called AmCon, and it's the Alternative Multimedia Conference. And Rich Hume is going to be there. Another gentleman that's local is Gabe El Taib. And
Gabe's wonderful. Have you seen Gabe speak?
I haven't. I heard him on on Gun Freedom Radio with Cheryl Todd.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him yet. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. Your Lead Talk person from last week, Dakota Adelphia, she's going to be presenting at AmCon. Lee Williams is going to be there. Mark Smith, Jared Yanis, and our personal favorite, our other handholder, John Petrolino, is going to be doing a presentation too.
John Petrolino. I love that guy. All right, I'm going then. I was going to sleep in on that Friday, but if Petrolino's talking, I'm in.
Petrolino's talking. You got to come. You got to be there.
I wasn't going to sleep in. You think there's any chance that John Petrolino was going to let me skip Friday? No. I'm half expecting to wake up that morning and he's standing there with a cup of coffee. Come on, Schwartzy. Let's go. Come on.
I'll see if we can arrange this. What is going to be hard is to get the three of us in the Jeep. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that will be a little hard. We might have to. We might have to figure that out.
Yeah,
just hold on to the roll bar. You're fine.
Okay, so let's see. Friday, September 27th. It's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. AmCon 2A Media Pre-conference, separate registration required. Okay, so you have to register for all this stuff. You have to register for the event on Friday and the event on Saturday, Sunday. Let's talk about that right after the break, though.
Hey, if you're a business owner and feel like you're wasting money on your marketing, it's probably because you're not talking to your customers in a way they understand. And a lot of customers waste a lot of money on marketing because they just don't have the words that make customers want to buy. That's why you should give Sage Tree a call. They are a San Diego certified story brand guide. Story is the oldest form of communication, and Sage Tree can help you use it to grow your business. Getting started is real easy. Just visit sagetree.com and click on the schedule an appointment button.
Okay, we're talking to my buddy Charlie Cook, and we're talking about the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is coming up on the
September 27th through the 29th.
There you go.
Right around the corner.
That weekend. It's down in Mission Valley at the
Marriott in Mission Valley. Which is a super central, very nice place. And it's completely free, but you have to register.
Right.
So, Charlie, what can you tell us about the registration process?
It's pretty easy.
It's so easy. I just did it.
There we go. All right. It's very easy to register. You just go on to go to GRPC. You go to saf.org/GRPC, and that'll get you all the information on GRPC. And for AmCon, you go to amcon.org, SDCON.org, and I think it gives you a /blog, and that's the homepage. But if you just look for Second Amendment Media Workshop, AMCON, it'll come up and it'll lead you there, and you register, and that is also for free. The nice thing about these is when you register for them, you ready for this, Mike? They count you for your favorite F word, free food.
Those are my two favorites right there.
I know.
Free and food.
It's a BOGO, which is my favorite.
So, Charlie, just make sure I'm seeing this correctly. I see that you can pre-register for Friday, and it looks to me as though Saturday and Sunday you register. It looks like on site. I'm assuming there's no linkable anything online for that. That's how it looks online.
Oh man, I'm looking online. There ought to be one for Gun Rights Policy Conference. Go down to the bottom.
I might need a 5-year-old to show me how to use it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these little things on the scrollers. You scroll down.
There it is. Is that it?
That's just for Friday. That's just for the after stuff on Friday.
Are you on saf.org?
I am.
/GRPC?
Yep. All I see is the Friday, September 27th at 7 p.m., which is just the evening part. I don't see anything for Saturday and Sunday that you can do now. It does list registration opening at 7:30 a.m.
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody listening,
be ready.
Keep an eye out on your inbox and look for an email from Gun Owners Radio or from San Diego County Gun Owners. We'll send it out, and you can register on the link that we provide, or Orange County Gun Owners or Inland Empire. Just look at your inbox. We're going to send it out a few times.
And it's worth the trip if you are not in San Diego. If you're up in one of those other areas, come on down.
You know, I got to tell you, it really is. The people that are the way that I describe this to people is that this is the event that the movers and the shakers in the gun community go to. Like these are the people that are setting policy and figuring out and pointing people in the right direction. And you have access to all of them. Like everyone's hanging out. You'll run into these people at the hotel bar, maybe having lunch, maybe having an adult beverage. And you can hang out and talk with them, and it's really amazing. It's great.
So if you had to, if John Petrolino and I were standing here, Charlie, and you had to decide which one was a mover and which one was a shaker, how would you categorize? Tread lightly on that.
Think about it, Charlie.
I'm going.
That's a good question.
I'm going. Petrolino is a mover. I'm definitely a shaker. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Are you going to do some riding shotgun with Charlie's out here?
I haven't planned any, so I'm going to be at AmCon all day on Friday, and it's going to be great. There's going to be a presentation on AI. Mm-hmm. Lee Williams is doing like an interactive thing where he's going to talk about how to weed through the nonsense and the crap that people put in their stories, and then he's going to have people interview him, and then we're going to have like a homework project, and then he's going to go through and say, well, this was right and this was wrong, and you could have done this better, and here's how you improve on that, which is going to be pretty cool.
Wow.
It's going to be really good. Petrolino's going to talk about the article. He did a 5-part article on bearing arms about the history of SAF, and he did video interviews of all of the SAF staff,
That's good. By the way, if you want to guarantee that you get to speak at GRPC, do a 5-part series on the history of SAF. No. It was excellent. It was absolutely excellent. I thought it was really, really great. He's such a good writer. He did such a good job.
He really is.
Yeah. So I'm glad he's going to be out here, and I thought that was a really good. Piece.
Yeah, he's really good. So he's going to be talking about that. And yeah, it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be all this great stuff on Friday. Saturday, I'm hoping to borrow someone's Jeep and film a couple shows.
Okay.
And then
I'm in.
Sunday, awesome, thank you. And then Sunday, I'm going to be emceeing people until Sunday's a half day. It ends at like 1 p.m. And if I still have access to people in a vehicle, I'll try to film some shows on Sunday afternoon. But otherwise, I just might hang out and, enjoy myself. Maybe have a cigar with some people.
There you go. Have a burrito. You got to come out. Everybody says when you come out to San Diego or come out to California, they're like, "Oh, of course I went to In-N-Out." Whatever, man.
Hey.
It's just a burger.
Hey,
you got to go have a burrito. You're in San Diego.
Chill.
Best burritos.
Chill.
Well, not you. Do you eat burritos, Dave?
Heck yeah, man.
Okay, all right. I was going to say.
Where would you go?
Bean and cheese. That's
Where would you go?
Any
nasty,
Indio.
dirty taco shop.
any place that's
Go to El Indio.
any version of cotijas.
What'd you say?
There's like 47 different ways they spell it, but any place that looks like it might be pronounced cotijas is
just go to El Indio on Washington.
All right. Well, we'll make sure to get a burrito in you. I promise. So.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Cool. Well, what else? Is there anything else? Is it what are you looking to for? What are you looking forward to most?
Oh man, it's old home week. I love just hanging out and yapping with people and telling stories. And I'm bringing, so I'm not bringing, but some of the people from the Gun Owners Action League are going to be coming. And one of the guys, he's the director of public policy. He's been at this for a couple of years. He's been coming to GRPC, and he got to speak last year. This year, they have a new gal that is the women's advocate for the Gun Owners Action League, and she's coming and speaking. Her name is Carrie Ann Auclair. She's with the Women for Gun Rights, and she's also an instructor with Armed Women of America. And it's, I hate to talk outside of school, but she's like, what am I going to do? Should I stay on Sunday? Should I leave on Sunday? Do I leave on Monday? I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you know what? Come hang out with me, because I hang out with everybody, and everybody knows me, and everyone hangs out. And she's like, I don't know anyone. I'm like, you come with me. You're going to meet everybody. Like, that's the way to go.
That's awesome.
Like, really. Yeah. So that's kind of what Sunday and Sunday night's going to be like. And then I've got an early flight on Monday, and it's back to reality.
Yeah. Reality stinks.
Yeah. So here's some stuff. I'm coming back on Monday, and then on Wednesday afternoon, I'm actually driving down to the NRA headquarters to interview a person or two at the NRA. So it's going to be it's going to be like a crazy week and a half or so.
Wow. What else can you tell us about the interviews that you're doing with NRA folks? You're talking about, it must be NRA employees or NRA leadership, something like that?
I have an interview with Doug Hamlin.
Okay.
So I'm right to the top, man. I don't fool around.
Wow. No kidding.
I went out there last year, and Petrolino and I went down to Farmville, Virginia, to go do some sporting clays with Cam Edwards last summer. And
dropping names all over the place. Goodness.
Well, he dropped yours.
Are you sure my Jeep is good enough to show for you around town there, Big Shot? Holy cow.
It'll be fine. But anyway, we stopped at the NRA Museum, and I filmed a show with Phil Schreier from the NRA. He's the curator of the NRA Museum. So that was really cool, just to drive him around.
That's awesome. So it's a great museum, too. I haven't been in, 10, 15 years, but it's a great museum there in Northern Virginia. The NRA did a really, really great job. They have a lot of really interesting firearms. I think they have a ton of other firearms that weren't even on display. I think they kind of rotate in the displays here and there, but there was one section on firearms from different movies. Like they had the suppressed shotgun from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they got the double barrel shotgun from Unforgiven. They got some Josie Wales guns. I think they have the Beretta 92 from Die Hard. So it's like, all this stuff is cool, but when you see these guns that are in the movies you watched when you were a kid, you're like, oh, this is really cool.
Wow. I think they also had the ceramic Glock 9 that could make it through the metal detector.
The metal detector, yeah. It's made of porcelain, and it's never detected, right?
Yeah.
One of the cool guns they have is it was a Ruger. I want to say it was a single-action revolver Ruger that was made for JFK, but he never got the opportunity to handle it. But it's still on display, which is pretty cool.
Wow. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much, Charlie. You are the absolute best. I'm glad we had you on to talk about this. Thank you so much for making the time, but mostly thank you for coming out and making this event great. And I'm so glad you're coming out to San Diego County, me county, Sioux County. So that's French for something. But I'm looking forward for you, being out here, and I think it's going to be great. And I'm just looking forward to seeing you, and I'm looking forward to the event. And highly encourage everybody, keep an eye out. Look in your inbox. You'll get the link, or check out saf.org/GR. What is it?
GRPC.
GRPC. SAF.org/GRPC. Check it out. Mark your calendar. Come to this event. It's free, and you get a bunch of stuff, and you get to meet Charlie, and you get to meet Masada Ayub, and all these other, and Petrolino, and all these other really, really cool people. I mean, you know, I got to tell you, man, it's a great bargain. It's going to be super interesting. So
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, and watch. I get to talk. I don't remember when I get to talk. I'm talking sometime on Saturday, I believe. But come out, watch my talk, and I'm hoping for a wave. You know how they do in stadiums.
I'll bring a beach ball.
Yeah, everybody on the left side start and stand up, and then have it come back and everything. You know what I mean? I'm hoping. So help me organize a wave before my talk. That's really it's a childhood dream. So help me. Yeah.
Oh man, help and make dreams come true. That's what I do.
That's right. Teamwork makes the dream work. So, hey, how do people see more of you, man? What's your website?
Oh man, if they go to writingshotgunwithcharlie.com, they can find all the shows there. And I have a YouTube channel, Writing Shotgun with Charlie. And if you look at all your favorite podcast outlets, you can find that there. You can also find the show on AmmoLand. You can check out a Writing Shotgun with Charlie article on Armed Lifestyle magazine. And I also write articles at news2a.com.
Thanks, Charlie.
Love you guys. Awesome. Thank you.
See you in a couple weeks.
Yep. Seal 1 gets compared to Frog Lube a lot. Well, they're different. Very different. With Frog Lube, you really need degreaser solvent, lubricant, protectant. How many different types of Frog Lube do you need? Well, it's just too much. And way more work than it needs to be. So with Seal 1, it's one and done. Wipe it on, wipe it off, and you're done. License Seal1.com. Seal1.com or Seal1.com.
Seal 1 is absolutely wonderful. If you're not using it, check it out. If your store doesn't sell it, ask them why, because it's a great product, and Seal 1 does a fantastic job of supporting Gun Owners Radio and supporting all kinds of cool Second Amendment stuff here in San Diego. And they don't have to do that. They could just take their money and do their thing and sell a great product. But it's important to them to volunteer their time and spend their dime on supporting your Second Amendment rights and avenues for you to, get more involved in the community. So thank you so much, Seal 1. They are the sponsor of our most popular segment, Stump My Nephew. Stump My Nephew, we found out years ago, my nephew, Sam, is particularly good at gun trivia. So if you send in a question and we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. If you stump my nephew, then we'll give you some kind of cool special prize. So make sure you research your answer thoroughly and spell your question out, clearly. That's my only ask. And that's not a reference to the question. I haven't even looked at the question yet here today. That, by the way, Sam doesn't know the question until we ask it live on the air. And so it's not like he gets to prepare. It's right off the cuff. So that's part of the struggle. Hey, man, how you doing, Sam?
I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. So, all right. Should I ask you? Can I ask him a question? You want to ask him?
Go for it.
All right, I'm going to ask him a question. So Daniel from Marietta asks, question, what firearm was nicknamed the Potato Digger?
And who was that who wrote in?
Daniel from Marietta.
Daniel from Marietta. Is there a Marietta, California, or is that Marietta, Georgia?
Yeah, well, I think there's both, but it's Marietta, California, which is actually in Riverside County, and it's where your sister lives.
Oh, okay.
It's actually where your sister spends all of her time living.
Okay. I had not heard it referred to as Marietta, but yeah. I'll take that.
I think, did she live in Marietta? Anyway, go ahead.
No.
Where does she live? I thought she lived in Marietta.
Temecula.
I was just there. Oh, Temecula. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not too far.
I don't know the difference. They could be the same place for all I know.
Close.
I'm not a local.
They're close. They're super close. My bad.
Okay. Well, Daniel from Marietta.
Once again,
or Daniel
Sam
from
right.
Temecula, whichever you prefer. Thanks very much for writing in. Which firearm was nicknamed the Potato Digger? This refers to a creation of the only John Moses Browning. The Colt Browning M1895 was a very early, one of the first practical military machine guns. It was considered at the time to be a heavy machine gun, but chambered in what we think of as a rifle cartridge, not exactly a heavy machine gun cartridge. In U.S. military service, they chambered .30-06. But it was a heavyweight mounted machine gun that would be fired from a tripod by a shooter in a sitting position, and it had a water jacket around the barrel for cooling. So why was it called the potato digger?
Yeah.
The mechanism and mechanical design of the M1895 were such that as the firearm cycled, a lever would come down and launch itself with great momentum toward the ground. And depending on where the machine gun was located, if it was on some uneven terrain with exposed dirt, then it would spray up some soil as it was firing, as it sort of dug into the ground there. Hence the name potato digger. Not to be confused with the potato masher, which was a British colloquialism for German stick grenades.
It does look like a potato masher. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I always thought potato digger, it was like, I think I kind of thought that, I never really thought it through, but I think I was thinking that like John Browning was Irish, and it was some kind of dig at some kind of nickname for the Irish.
No, though he was the son of Mormon farmers in Utah, but the Colt Browning M1895 was a gas-operated machine gun.
Yeah.
So it was mechanically a little bit different from Maxims and so forth, which I believe were recoil-operated.
But that's why it's called the potato digger, because of the action you were saying. And by the way, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Correct!
The Colt Browning M1895 is an air-cooled, belt-fed...
Oh, I got that. I flubbed that part. It's air-cooled.
He said water.
That's it. You're fired. You're out. It's an air-cooled, belt-fed, gas-operated machine gun based on an 1889 design by John Browning and his brother, Matthew S. Browning. It was the first successful gas-operated machine gun to enter service. Its action involved a long, swinging arm attached to the gas piston that cycled with each shot. This arm would dip down below the gun during the cycling process, and if the gun was mounted too close to the ground, the arm would literally dig into the dirt like it was harvesting potatoes. There you go, man. You're absolutely right. You nailed it. I don't know why you know that, but you know it.
What he's referring to in the answer, and when I say it's a gas-operated machine gun, a lot of listeners might think of a modern gas piston design where the operating rod moves directly to the rear as it is pushed by gas pressure. The potato digger did not work that way. It was the impetus or the inspiration, rather, for its design was that John Browning looked at lever-action rifles, with which he was very proficient at designing. He invented a couple of pretty successful ones. And he went, why can't I just use a portion of the energy from the fired cartridge to cycle the lever action? So it mechanically takes a lot of inspiration from lever-action rifles, which is really kind of an odd thing if you think about it. A lot of later gas-operated firearms took more design cues from bolt-action rifles.
Awesome. Good info. That's awesome. Hey, one of the things that you just produced was a 3-part series on optics, which is extremely... What's that?
4-part now.
My apologies. 4-part series on optics, which is extremely useful and very well written. I invite everybody to go to our blog page and check it out. But we're also looking for feedback. We want to know, what do you want to hear about? Write in and say, hey, I'd like to know more about XYZ, history, function, accessories, firearms, whatever it is. We're looking for ideas. Sam's extremely good, but we need some ideas. Sam, you've been writing for us for a few years now, and so we're looking for some new ideas. We want to know what you want to know about, and Sam will do the research and the work. So, yeah, cool. I don't know what that is. I think your burrito's done, Dave.
Is it?
Yeah,
right,
take that out of the microwave. All right, well, cool. Sam, thank you so much. By the way, Sam, Alicia's wearing a shirt that it's like the Fruit Loop logo, and rather than Kellogg, it says Relentless, and rather than Fruit Loop, it says OODA Loop.
That's pretty good.
I know. I kind of liked it. I thought
Pretty
you'd like
fun.
it. I seriously, she walked in, I saw it, and I was like, dude, Sam would love that shirt. It's kind of funny. What is an OODA? Do you remember what it stands for?
Observe, orient, decide, act.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's exactly what it is.
There you go.
So if you don't know what OODA loop is, check it out. OODA. Do a little Google search.
That can be a new blog.
There you go. Maybe you should write about OODA loops. What exactly is it? Where did it start? Why is it useful? How do you use it? Maybe that should be a blog.
That'd be a whole series too.
Yeah. There you go. There's one idea. Idea number 1. Thank you, Alicia, for that.
You're welcome.
So, all right, Sam. Anything else you want to promote or talk about?
No, that's it. Just I'm part of the Introduction to Optics series. But if there's any questions anyone out there wanted to know about firearm optics but was too afraid to ask now or forever hold your peace, so that I can cover that stuff once and for all and clear up any misconceptions there may be.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent job. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for having me on. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, big thank you to Tude Wynn, who's a friend of the show, wonderful guy. You've actually you've heard him on here before. He's really, really great. He is from 2C. Thank you for donating the grand prize. The prize is a Smith & Wesson Shield plus 2C Custom Elite. The slide, right? That's the slide.
Correct.
Is the 2C Custom Elite is on the slide of the.
And for those who
Smith &
don't
Wesson
know,
Shield.
2C is your local San Diego guy to do all your custom milling. If you don't want to have to send your slide out, 2C is here local, does it fast, and you get it right back.
Yep, and it's spelled TWO.SEE, 2C.
Yep.
Features the Shield Plus is one of the new pistols on the California roster that has an improved grip and trigger over the old Shield. 2C customized it further with a ported barrel, a custom slide cut, an optic slide cut, and a Holosun optic. So the winner is Gary Phelps. Congratulations, Gary.
Pretty exciting.
It is exciting. Too, thank you so much, man. Thank you for being such a great supporter. Absolutely love what you do, and thank you so much for being so supportive. So I actually think Two's got a super interesting story. I think I want to do an extended interview with that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
pretty good.
He's got a very unique background that gives him a very unique perspective of the Second Amendment and America.
Get him on.
There you go. So, thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.